This lesson is writing linear equations. The goal is to write the equation of a linear function. What you should understand by the end of this lesson is that a linear equation can be written in several ways. Two ways are slope-intercept form and point-slope form. Slope-intercept is written as y equals mx plus b, where m is slope and b is the y-intercept. Slope point is written as y minus y sub 1 equals m times the difference of x and x sub 1. All right, here are the two types of equations again. Slope-intercept form. And again, it's y equals mx plus b. M is slope. And the 0, b, is the y-intercept. So when b is when x is 0, b is the y-intercept. Point-slope form, which we don't see very often, but when the equation of a line goes through a point, x sub 1 and y sub 1, and it has a slope, we write it as y minus y sub 1 equals m, which is the slope. Then you put in parentheses the letter x minus x sub 1. All right, this first type question is pretty easy. It says a line's y-intercept is -6. Its slope is 1. What is the equation in slope-intercept form? Well, again, slope-intercept is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So we just write that as y equals m is slope, which is 1, but 1 times x is just x. You could write 1x, but it's not really necessary. And our y-intercept is -6. So that is the answer. Y equals x minus 6. Here's your practice problem. A line's y-intercept is -3 and its slope is -9/2. What is its equation in slope-intercept form? The next problem says to rewrite the following equation in slope-intercept form. So they're giving us an equation in slope-point form. Now slope-point form gives us a point. It's y sub 1 and x sub 1. So we have our point right there. Now it's y minus y sub 1. So I know this is going to be a positive 4. And x minus x sub 1. So I know this is a positive 10. I already know what slope is. So I'm part of the way there, a big part of the way there. So I'm going to replace my x and y with those numbers and put in slope and solve for b. So I'm going to do 4 equals 6 over 5 times 10. I'm going to make it 10 over 1 plus b. Again, so I have, if this was an equation, it would be y equals mx plus b, because I know that that's y and that's x. So now I'm going to solve for b. Those cancel out, or they simplify. 6 times 2 is 12 over 1. So I have 12 plus b. I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. That's gone. I have -8 equals b. So I now can write the equation in slope-intercept form. That equation is y equals 6/5 x minus 8, because b is the y-intercept, and we already had the slope. We just had to find the y-intercept. We got it from the point 10, 4. All right, your practice problem is to rewrite the following equation in slope-intercept form. Y minus 8 equals negative 6 times the quantity, or times the sum, x plus 6. This problem is what is the equation of the line in point-slope form. So remember, our point-slope form is y minus y sub 1 equals m times x minus x sub 1. So I'm going to I know I've got the y, and let's find where it is on the y-axis. It's at negative 100, and because I'm subtracting negative 100, I'm going to add it, and that equals, I'm going to find my slope here in a minute, x, and x is, that point is at negative 80, so minus a negative 80 is plus 80. Now I have to find the slope. So it crosses there, and it's pretty steep, so it's going to be a whole number, I'm sure, so it also crosses there. So my rise is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over 1, which is just 6. So that is the equation in point-slope form. Y plus 100 equals 6 times the sum, x plus 80. Okay, you give it a try. What is the equation of this line in point-slope form? Practice 4. What is the equation of this line in point-slope form? Next problem. A line includes the points 10, 10 and 5, 7. What is its equation in slope-intercept form? Well, I need to find slope, and then I'm going to have to solve for b, and I can solve for b using either one of those points. So I'm going to do my solve for my slope. So I'm going to do 10 minus 7 over 10 minus 5, and I get 3/5 as my slope. And now I'm going to use right there, I'll use 10, 10 and solve for b. So I'm going to plug in those x and y values and solve for b. So I have 10 equals, the slope is 3/5, x is 10, 10 over 1, plus b. I can simplify those. I have 10 equals, 3 times 2 is 6, plus b. I subtract 6. I get 4 equals b. So now my final equation in slope-intercept form is y equals 3/5 x plus 4. So once again, I found slope, and then I solved for b. And once I know slope and b, I can write it in slope-intercept form. Practice 5. A line passes through the points 8, 3, and 9, 10. What is its equation in point-slope form? The final question or type of question is the equation for line K can be written as y minus 10 equals 1/10 times the sum x plus 9. Parallel to line K is line L, which passes through the point -10, -10. What is the equation of line L? Well, parallel lines have the same slope. Remember, perpendicular lines have opposite signs, inverse slopes. So this is parallel, so it's going to have the same slope. All I need to do is plug in that point and solve for B. So I'm going to put -10 equals 1/10 because slopes are the same. -10 over 1 plus B. That canceled out. So I have -10 equals -1 plus B. Add 1. And I get -9 equals B. So I'm ready to write my final equation that is parallel to line K. And it is y equals 1/10 x minus 9. It's really not hard at all because all you need to worry about is the slope. You don't need to worry about those 2 points or that point at all because you have to use this point to come up with your new y-intercept. Here's your final practice problem. Line K has an equation of y plus 9 equals -7/3 times the sum x plus 3. Line L includes the point -2, 8 and is parallel to line K. What is the equation of line L? All right. As you worked through those 6 problems, where do you feel you were on the scale of understanding? A 1, 2, 3, or 4? And as you work through the IXL lesson, think about if you've moved, and think about where you're going to put yourself today when you answer the survey. You're going to go in and do your IXL lesson, get a 90 or better, and that's the end of this lesson. Bye.